Welcome to Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out with Julie Coraccio. Every Tuesday at 1 p.m., Julie interviews experts on all areas of clutter: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. A clutter coach and professional organizer, Julie also offers tips to help you get clutter-free for a more joyful and fulfilling life.
Today we're going to be talking about how to create extra space, whether you're building from scratch or you're like me and remodeling, figuring out all those great ways to create space. And I'm super excited because we have Adam Levine this morning.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning. I love Adam for many reasons, but you have him to thank for this whole series because when we first met over social media, I was like, okay, can Skype? He's like, nah, you got to do Google Hangouts. Come on and try it. So it was kind of the impetus to start this and all my other stuff that I'm doing. So I'm very excited to have him. We're going to let him tell you about himself at the end.
Thank you so much for having me. And you're doing really amazing things on here, Julie, with the Google Plus and the Hangouts. And you're a total inspiration because you managed to crank out amazing show after amazing show. And if I only had your energy, I don't know what I'd be able to accomplish. So good job. Thanks for having me here. So, let's see. Everybody has stuff. George Carlin's got that great routine about stuff and people having stuff and moving stuff. But as we all know, it's like a real problem. And if you don't even get yourself like a little bit organized, I find, and being in the world of organization, I find that people they're literally drowning in their stuff. And now there's so much more stuff than ever. So it's like, what do you do with it all? And it's like even talking about it, I'm starting to get a little anxiety. I don't know if you can feel that coming out of my voice because I think about my stuff all the time. It's like, what do you do with it? So personally for me right now, since I got involved in like the organizing world, which has only been a couple of years, but I got to tell you, it's made amazing things happen in my life. Just clearer focus, relaxing a little bit more, de-stressing my daily routine, just getting myself to organize. So when Julie and I were talking, and jump in anytime, I'm not saying anything that's true here, Julie, but when we were talking and she was talking about the modeling and the remodeling in the kitchen and this and that, and we had these small conversations. I said, I was involved in construction. I was a home builder for like 18 years. So I did a lot of stuff, and I reflect on some of the things that I did, not even knowing how to be like a professional organizer or organizer mindset, but there were little things that I always recommended to the people that were actually building their house, and that's what we did. We built new homes. We did new construction, not so much renovation, remodeling. But I would always suggest to them like little things that I picked up after building and working on hundreds of homes throughout my career. So when Julie asked me to be on the show, what can we talk about? We thought about talking about it on a couple of tips to do when you're building new and doing some remodeling. So the first thing, and this isn't going to be the same for everybody. I mean, if you're just trying to organize your closet, well, you got to throw out some clothes and do some stuff like that. But if you're building a house, you don't want to lock yourself up into a situation where you say, oh, I wish I could have or I should have, and then you get jammed up later on in life. And, anybody who's listening to this right now, we're older. It's not like there's 8-year-old kids listening on this. But, closets have become more and more prevalent to people's homes as the homes have gotten bigger and as time has gone on and material has dropped in pricing. There's more space available for people in their homes, but it still seems like everybody is, you open up that closet and everything falls out of it. So one of the things that we thought one of the things that I really thought would be a great idea on a new construction is this, and I try to do this whenever I can, depending on if you're starting a house from scratch, okay, and you have like a clear lot of land, depending on the way that the land and the house are sitting, if you have an option of dropping the garage slab down about 3 feet, it's not a lot of excavation, so you're not spending a lot of extra material time on the labor and renting the machines when you're doing the job. You don't have to really add too much additional things as far as building materials around the perimeter of the garage because it's really just a little bit extra concrete when you're pouring out your foundation walls. But if you could drop the garage an extra 3 foot, you're going to do yourself a huge favor because by dropping the garage slab down 3 feet, you give yourself 3 feet of height inside. I'm probably not getting it all in the camera, but I'm trying to do 3 foot. You get yourself 3 feet of additional height. So if you had, and I didn't do any pre-math over here, but if you had a garage, say you had like a 40 by 50 garage, right? That's 200 What's 40 by 50?
Right.
40 by 50. It's, right. So no, that's it's 2,000. Excuse me. 4,000. Wait. Oh my God! I can't believe I can't even do simple math right now. Talking about how early it is over here. Right. So I just want to do this properly. 40 times. Well, that's actually too big of a garage. Let's just say 40 by 20. 40 by 20. Let's do that. Okay. So 40 by 20 is an 800 square foot garage. Okay. So an 800 square foot garage, if you added an extra 3 feet, you're adding like a volume, a cubic metric of, you know, that cube by an extra 3 feet. That doesn't sound very official, but I'm not a physicist. It really just is. But what I'm basically trying to say is you can line shelves all around your garage walls, around the perimeter of the walls, and you can gain an extra huge volume of square footage for your storage. So you can do wide shelves, you could do narrow shelves, you could do sporting goods, camping goods, little swimming pools for the kids, you know, seasonal equipment, blow-up houses that are really popular right now. You can store, I mean, just thing after thing after thing, tools, stuff that you're not using, wood that you're saving, screens on for porches and for just anything that you have laying around the house, which is good. Hoses, you know, anything, flowering pots are a good one. Oh, one guy that we built a little drop-down pulley system, and he had an old Mercedes, he put his convertible hood on top of the platform and it lifted up, and it was totally out of the way for the whole, you know, spring and summer season, which was really nice. Right. So that was kind of like the first thing that I wanted.
Your holiday stuff as well, if you create enough extra storage, that if you don't have room inside, that's okay to keep in the garage.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there's so many things that people have all over their place. So you never know what you're going to find in somebody's garage. But as long as you have stuff that you want to get, you know, off the floor, out of the way, and just hold it up there. High space in the garage, you know, you have to use a ladder to get to it on occasion. But if you're not using it frequently, get it up, get it out of the way, eliminate the stuff before you put it up there, so you're not storing junk and taking up more space. Just get it going off the way. The second thing that we wanted to talk about, as long as I'm in the garage, is there's one more thing. When you actually build a garage, a lot of times people try to save money on the garage. Like, oh, we'll just make it simple. We'll just make it like a little shed. And they don't take into account that when you park a car and you have things along the wall, you also have to open up the doors to the car. So many people, they get a nice garage, they move into a nice house, and they start to put like regular stuff, maybe a couple of rakes, some shovels, a ladder up against the wall, and then they pull the car in, and all of a sudden, boom, their door is hitting the ladder, or they didn't make it wide enough. So if you can opt for an extra 3 foot on the exterior wall on the driver's side and 3 foot on the passenger side, you're giving yourself an extra 6 feet in total, which makes a huge difference when it comes to storing, because as your family grows, as your time in the house grows, so does the amount of items that you accumulate. They grow also. So you want to try to keep those things out of the way. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we need proper placement of HVAC and the mechanical elements. You know, some people have different setups. You may have in my particular house, we have the air conditioner downstairs in the basement, which to me doesn't make sense. You want to, in your new construction, right, because it's in the basement, so it's pushing cold air and it's making it force up. So there's a whole bunch of like mechanical equipment, the tubing and the this and that gets in the way of prime attic space or prime basement space where you'll never be able to utilize it. So really important to have a good plan, a good layout, you know, almost like an artist. I'm not saying you have to do fancy stuff, but if you have, I don't know if everybody's good at the terms, but if you have trunk lines and the 8-inch round lines that go from the vents in the ceiling all the way to the main trunk, you're going to want to take a little bit of extra material. You're going to kind of want to wrap them around the perimeter of the attic or around the basement. Wherever things are running, you want to do it neatly, organized. Your electric's going to run pretty neat. Your plumbing's going to run pretty neat, because those guys are masters at what they do, assuming you're using master contractors and you're not doing everything yourself.
Big assumption, but we'll hope.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but everybody tries to save on the good material, on the copper. So you want to do like short runs inside the walls. It doesn't matter so much. But when you're up in the attic, you got to think of it as a dual purpose space. It's not only to house the machinery that keeps your house temperature controlled. and things flowing, but you're also going to use it hopefully one day for storage. And as long as you're up there in the attic, and if you have time, a lot of people that actually build their houses, they're on their sites a little bit. Sometimes you can talk to your GC and you can ask them to do you a favor and save the extra sheathing from the outside of the house, shave the extra plywood sheathing from the roof, and use those scraps and line them in the attic before the attic. And when all the mechanical kind of stuff is done, the preliminary, line the attic floor, because that'll help cover the insulation. It'll also give you places to walk, because it's like GCs usually get pretty particular about that. They like to charge a lot of money to put plywood in an attic. I know I was one of them because it's a pain in the tush. But if you could talk to them about saving the scraps, you can at least have them laid out. And then when you get into the house, you can go ahead and fasten them down or maneuver them the way that you need to do. Which I always recommended, and whenever we had really big sheets, especially for the people that we built houses that we liked, we'd throw it up in the attic. So not everybody got plywood in their attic. Some people are just, some people are crazy. But those are some of the 3 tips that, yeah, right. So that I wanted to mention on the new construction. I'm sure, Julie, you probably have 1 or 2 that you might be able to do for a new construction also, as we're just kind of talking, I would think.
Oh gosh, you know what? New construction, probably not, because I don't have a builder's mind. My husband might, because his mind thinks that way. I would just think, if you are building, I mean, really, to be clear, if you take the time to write everything out, because you might be like, the master closet's really important, but if you don't write it out, you don't have a discussion beforehand. I mean, just from helping people get organized, people are like, oh, it's up here, and the older you get, you forget. Write it down. As I say to anyone doing anything, letting go of clutter, getting organized, what are your goals? What's most important to you? And then that can dictate from there. We bought my house and I got married last fall. My husband moved in with me, and it's interesting, like, there just wasn't, I don't know who was building it, but like, we have a really weird shaped closet, and you were talking about all the pipes and stuff when we're redoing the kitchen, and the soffit. Tony built storage within that, but there was a weird pipe, so we're like, okay, well, we had to keep this covered up in the middle, and we couldn't have open storage throughout because of how it was set up. But it was a weird place. It was like in the middle of the wall that the pipe comes down and set it to the side. Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things why I love new construction so much more than older construction, because when you're doing remodeling and you get involved in, and the area that I live, there are actually some really old houses. There's some stuff around here that's literally 100, 120 years, and most of the stuff is much more current, but I'm just outside of New York City, so there's a lot of activity. You got tons of old stuff down there too, where you are, Julie.
Oh, yeah, lots
of God, beautiful Victorian stuff and whatnot. But it's so much easier when you're starting fresh and you're starting new, and great, like what you said, is to write things down. And actually, as you're saying that, I'm like thinking back, because it's been a while since I've been involved in that business. But we used to do that. We would sit with the people and we would say, what's really important to you? Like, what's more important to you? Like lighting or windows? And do you want to spend all your money on like Pella windows, or can you deal with Anderson, but we're going to put 50 hi-hats throughout the bedrooms and the living rooms, because everybody has to budge and you have to do all sorts of things. But going out of the new construction, well, once we were, we had a whole bunch of houses and everything, and people would put additions on the houses, like, you built it, then they call you like 7 years later and be like, the house you built for us wasn't big enough, we need to do an addition. So we would always do like these little additions on some of our former customers and clients. And but we also did a lot of stuff for people's like parents. They'd be like, oh, you did such a great job on our house, my mother needs like this done or that done. So we ended up doing little side jobs and everything. So I thought it would be kind of fun, and then I've moved around quite a bit myself, and wherever I go, I'm never happy with the construction anybody did, particularly in the closets. So for me, like, anytime I move into someplace, I'm rebuilding a closet, because most people don't know how to do it. Yes. So all right. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about for remodeling and renovating was when you design your closet, you really got to think about what you have. Are you a folder or are you a hanger user? Because some people are really into hangers. They hang everything. Other people like to fold stuff. Some people like to put stuff in drawers. Other people like to stack things. So it's like, what are you really going to do the most in your closet with your stuff? Like, I'm talking about like a master closet for them.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you want it? How do you want it to work for you so that when you go to get your clothes in the morning and you got one eye open and you can't do simple math like the size of a garage right now, you can just grab a shirt and be on the go, or pants or blouse outfit, whatever. So, one of the things that I always like to do is whatever size closet I have, I immediately cut it in half. One side, I do all shelving, and the other side, I do a double pole. And I say that's what I have always done. After I got married, that changed a little bit because one of the poles had to be really long because I'm a guy. Everything I have is a suit or a pants or whatever. So you only need like 4 feet, for the jacket and everything, and the shirts, they all fit on one pole. But when I had a wife, when I got married, we had to change the closet, and now I have a long pole in it too. But one of the things that I just want to say with the closets is that when you break up a closet in half, it's important that when you place your shelves, I'm turning around like there's a closet behind me, but when you place your shelves, you don't want to, most people are going to build them out of wood and they're going to paint it and they're going to make the closet look nice and they want it to be sturdy, obviously. But you don't want to make the closet so that it's really non-functional. So one of the real important things that when I talk about to people, I talk about shelves, is you have to make your shelves deep. Okay, there's no point in putting a 10-inch shelf in a closet. Your closet is about 2 feet wide. Okay, so it's about 24 inches, so just in the field of view. If you put a closet that's only this deep, you're never going to be able to put more than like a pair of shoes in the depth. And then you're losing 12 inches of prime space right in front of the closet. So I usually recommend that you make a shelf anywhere between 17 to 20 inches wide. And that way, you can actually like stack 2 pairs of shoes, or you can fold a shirt nicely without having the edge of the shirt like flopping down the shelf, cascading. It presents a problem because when you pull out one shirt, you end up moving the whole stack. And so I always recommend nice wide shelves from the bottom. And usually what I do is I start at about 20 inches, and then I like a space of about 12 to 14 inches in between a closet shelf. Because lots of times you put stuff that's too small, too narrow, and then you can't really put a lot of things in there. And if you go too high, you can't stack up your clothes. Because again, we're talking about master closet. You can't stack up your clothes too high before they start to get disfigured, like the piles, because I'm a right folder, so my sleeves get bunched up and then the shirts are on an angle. It's funny how you could talk about these things, right, with organizers, So I always recommend, doing the shelves at the right depth for starters, and then also placing them at the right height. And of course, it's got to work for you. So your master bedroom closet may be different than if you're fortunate enough to have a dining room closet or like a pantry off the kitchen. There, your shelves heights are going to be different because a stack of shirts stores differently than, say, like a KitchenAid giant mixer. So in like a pantry situation, instead of going 13 inches, maybe there you could do 18 inches on 1 or 2 shelves, or 15, 16 inches, so you could change. But and then with the poles, again, talking about like what you're going to be using. If you're a guy, if you have a lot of boys and you have a family, whatever, those closets, they should really just be like 2 poles stacked up. You don't want to put the pole all the way up at the top because then you'll never reach it. But I just took a note. One of the poles I do, like a 43 and 79. Is what I usually do off the floor. So about 43 inches high, but just about 4 feet. That's your first pole, and then your second pole is about 79. Mm-hmm. And then from there, really any other closet that you're doing, you can make your own adjustments. You can make them so that they work for you. So, for instance, my wife, I built her a shoe closet at the front. We had a big like front entry closet. And she has a lot of shoes. God bless her. She does a lot of walking. But we did one side for the kids' jackets primarily. So we have 2 runs over there, and we made the pole lower so that the kids can hang up their jacket on and off the pole. And then on the right side, I made I think it was 9 or 10 shelves, but I did them at only about 9 inches high. So, or maybe 9 or 10, and 2 shelves at like 11. So her high heel shoes could fit in, and I made them really deep. Those I made like 21 inches. So they come out to the face of the closet, and now she can get on one shelf, she can get 8 pairs of shoes. So she's got 10 shelves. That math I could do. That's 60 shoes. All right. No, that's 80 shoes. Who am I kidding? but you could do that. And then the other thing is, don't put your shelves too deep at the top of the closet, otherwise you'll never be able to get stuff into the top, which I've done many times. I made like a shelf like sticking all the way out, and then you can only fit your hand, so you have to take the shelf down anyway. So that was some stuff with closets. And then usually when people do renovation, aside from a closet, lots of times people do bathrooms. So some of the bathroom safety spacing tips is kind of like what you had said before, Julie, about writing stuff down. Like, again, what's important to you in the bathroom? And we're not going to get too graphic over here, but are you a person who takes a lot of time when they go to the bathroom, or are you just like a quick bathroom goer? Some people take 2-minute showers and they finish everything else in 2 minutes. Also, they're in and out of the bathroom, doesn't matter to them. Other people like to go, they sit down, they read a book. I know myself, I close the door, I don't listen to the kids for 7-8 minutes. My wife, she does the same thing. And I know a lot of my friends with kids do the same thing also. It's almost like a little sanctuary. So what's important to you? And I'll tell you right now, toilet bowl height, real important thing. Like, you go to the Home Depot, you go to Lowe's, you go to even better, like a real professional plumbing store. Like, you take a look. There's like, I don't know, 2,000 different styles of toilets. People always get awkward when they go toilet shopping. It's like nobody wants to actually sit on a toilet in a showroom because they feel uncomfortable. I'm telling you right now, go sit on the toilet, because you want to be comfortable. It's all different heights, and people are different sizes. And I can't tell you, I could think of no less than 6 toilets that I changed throughout my career, because people bought the toilet because they thought it looked the prettiest, and it matched their sink, and it matched, like, they sell these sets with toilet and the bathtub. Anyway, the toilets were too high for the women. They're like really tall toilets, and the women were like 5'1", and it just didn't work for them. Like, they felt like a little kid, and they needed a stool. So we switched out, because it was one development that we were doing, and it was one of the option packages, of why 6 of them got changed. But we really did switch out for lower toilets. Personally, I like a lower toilet. Julie, I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know if you want to comment on that, but I'm a lower toilet guy.
You know what? I'm very happy, because my toilet's good to go. Yeah. And I never thought about that. And my husband is building. It's his thing. It relaxes him. He likes to do a project. So Lowe's and Home Depot are like the candy store for him. So, I've spent a lot of time there. I've gotten to know it, but I've never noticed the toilet height. So the next time we're there, I'm going to check that out, because it's interesting, because his sister is, I think, 4'11". So I think maybe I'm going to be like, hey, how's your toilet doing? Because, she's extremely petite. So I never thought of something like that, and that makes sense. Like, feeling like a little kid, but toilet height is definitely something I'm going to check out. But for me, my woman cave is the bathtub. I mean, I see that would be a make it or break it. I've seen some houses where they've remodeled and they don't have a tub, and I'm like, I'm not even need a bathtub. Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And a lot of people have taken out their bathtubs. Well, it depends. Again, it depends what you need. Like, that's a deal breaker for you. Other people, they're not interested so much in a tub, but they want like that standing shower with like the bench in it. And to each his own. But anything that you do, you just want to really think about it. And you know what? I tell you the truth, I never thought about toilet heights either until somebody pointed out to me, because the husband was like over 6 foot, and the wife was like almost petite, like you said. And then you think about it, you're like, how does everybody use the same toilet?
Right.
So anyway, you move the seat when you drive a car. So all right. So with that, also in the bathroom, so think about what's important to you. Get the stuff that you're going to appreciate, because you're going to spend many years, hopefully, in your happy home, and you're going to spend a lot of time going to the bathroom. So make sure it's good. And the only thing that the other thing that I like to recommend, and sometimes it's not possible in a renovation, but it's certainly available in new construction, is make sure you put an extra drain in the bathroom. There is nothing worse than an overflowing toilet, that's all clogged up, and just baggage up in the bathroom, and it starts raining down in your kitchen. And I'm actually in a small position with that right now. We have a little leak in the kitchen because we had some kind of leak in one of the in the toilet. Not a leak, it overflowed, and then it ran down somewhere. Blah blah blah. If I had a drain over there right near the toilet, it would have went down the drain, and it would have ended up in the kitchen. So of course we got a birthday party coming up, so I got a hole in the ceiling. It's a lot of fun. But a drain in the bathroom and a drain in the laundry room is really, really, really smart. And now I think it's code in a lot of places. I think it'll be here by me too in New York. It's code where you do new construction with a laundry room. You have to have like a 3-inch lip, and they put a plastic tub in there, and you have to have a drain in there. But if you could do it on your older older renovation and remodels, it's a great way. It might save you a lot of money, and forget the money, the aggravation that goes with a flood like that. Oh God. And then the other thing that I would say, and it was a trend that right as I started to get out of the construction, it was a trend that was picking up, and I don't know the word for it, so I'm going to kind of make it up over here. But a lot of people, you know, it's just like, it seems like there's a different family dynamic today, you know, especially with all the electronic devices when people are together. So I think like the traditional, well, I shouldn't say with electronic, it's with electronic devices and, you know, both parents working, it just seems like a little bit different today than it was. People are more relaxed. Dinners aren't as formal. They don't start 6 o'clock sharp, you know. People kind of come in and they eat and they nosh, they walk around. You know, so what I saw happening was that some of the formal dining rooms were getting eliminated. And they were turning into, and I know with a whole bunch of my friends, we've turned our dining rooms into like the kids' playrooms. And I think it was actually also mentioned to bring the neat. I think one of the gals was saying, I forget for a second, but it's like a combination of the kitchen and the dining room. And some of the newer houses that I was building right at the end, they actually had eliminated the main wall between the kitchen and the dining room, and they called it like a kitchen buffet or a dining kitchen room. So I'm calling it kitchen room. Kitchen room. Why not? Kitchen, dining. Makes a little sense if you're a little happy. But so what you're doing is you're kind of eliminating one of the walls. You're taking a formal area that may or may not have been used all that much. A lot of people never even touched their dining room because the dining room table was too expensive. They didn't want to scratch it. They didn't want to serve, and it was only for like, you know, that one holiday or 2 holidays a year, or funerals. You know, that's when other people would do stuff too. They put stuff out. You know, that's anyway. But people are combining the space now, and what they're doing is they're saving space because they're bringing their family together. They get the couch in there, they have the big screen TV, they have the computer, the laptops. You know, it's like a hangout area, and it does save you space because you're gaining all that room and you're actually utilizing it rather than keeping it separate and keeping it pristine and not really ever enjoying it. So if you have the option to do like a renovation where you're knocking out a wall and you're making the kitchen and the family area, that's a great way. I mean, most people spend their lives in their kitchens anyway in their house. You know, I mean, that's where people spend most of the time in their house. So it's just a great way. And those are pretty much the tips that I got for the minute. I hope I didn't make anybody crazy with my bad math, but I had fun talking about that, you know.
No, I think it's good, but I want you to talk. First of all, it's great. We were gonna. I love your idea, and you're right. We have a formal, quote unquote, formal dining room, and Tony wanted to knock out the wall, but I think, what is it called, the support thing or whatever, and so it wasn't an option, and I would have gone insane because I'm almost insane now with the time because we're doing it ourselves that it's taking. So I think I just would have had died if we would have done that. It just would have been too much. But I think it's so true. Like, I cook all the time. That's where I'm passionate, and is, you know, we're done with the top of the cabinets and starting the bottom, and I thought, oh my gosh, and all this, but then it's like, wow, you have a lot. But I thought, you know what, you love to cook. You cook all the time. You bake. You like to entertain. And so that to me goes back again to what brings you joy, because if you use it, you love it, it's not clutter. And, you know, I love your point. We do. A lot of us spend a lot of time in the kitchen, or when people come over, they sit at the kitchen table. So if you think that through, then you can create a space that's going to bring you joy and where you want to spend time. And like you talk about making a play room or the electronics room, make it into something that you're going to use.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that kind of house you grew up in. You know, in my house, we actually use the dining room a lot. But I remember, like, my grandparents' house. I was fortunate; I had some great grandparents around for quite a bit of my early life, and we would go over to their houses, and it was like, with my great grandparents, it was being in like a Russian dining room in like 1901. You know, it was like the same furniture, the same everything. I don't think we ever sat in there, and they only had like a 3-room apartment in Queens. You know what I mean? So they spent like their life in like this tiny little kitchen, sitting on like a folding table with like you know how like 90-year-old people were back in the day. You know, they didn't spend any money. So they had this little kitchen with this 2-foot by 2-foot table, because it was a little Queens apartment, a walk-up nonetheless, and folding chairs in the kitchen. And here they had this beautiful dining room set that I can't remember ever eating it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to talk a little bit about, these were great tips, but bring the neat. 1 and 2, and
Oh.
very well Bring the Neat and Bring the Neat 2, because you did that, because that is a whole plethora of information that's going to talk about clearing clutter. So talk about that, and then tell us about your awesome rapid gift bag and how people can find out information, any other things you have coming up you want to share.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that, Julie. You know, the Bring the Neat was great, and you're a huge part of that. I mean, it was just actually you're just like a huge part of my life right now, which is great. So thank you for being you. It's wonderful. But Bring the Neat was an idea that I came up with to basically help people. I mean, and help me a little bit too. You know, I'm new to the organization world. I've only been involved like head over heels in love and full force for going on like 2 years like professionally. I've always been neat and organized, but with they're kind of the two stories are intertwined. So I designed and created and started a company, and what I do is I make this product called Wrap It. And our website is rapidgiftbag.com, and we make the best gift wrap storage organizer on the planet. Hands down, I'll go up against anybody. We are able to store and organize and protect more wrapping paper than anybody else on the market. We do it better. We're a good-looking storage organizer. We actually look good. We're not just some big, ugly tub. And what we really do is we take that clutter that so many people just around the country have, like all over their house. They have it in their front closet, or they have it like stuck on a dining room table in the end, or basement, or in some bedrooms. It's all over the place. Gift wrap clutter. Everybody has, a lot of people have the problem, and nothing ever really fits anywhere, or nothing ever nice. So I had that same problem. I didn't have anything fitting anywhere. My wife, she was a big gift giver. We didn't have a lot of room, and she always had a lot of stuff, and no matter how I tried to contain it, I couldn't contain it anywhere. So I sat down one day. I was in construction. I was building houses. It was cold. It was winter. I had like a week off because there was 2 feet of snow on the ground. And what I did was I took all of her gift wrap items, I put them down the living room floor, and I designed something around those products that she had, and I made something that worked for me, and I hung it in my closet. And a lot of people were like, "Hey, that looks really cool. Make me one." And I was like, "No," because it took forever to make it. But we ended up turning it into a company because a lot of people really liked it, and we thought we had something good. And it's rapidgiftbag.com.
All right, everyone, get out there, clear your clutter, and reawaken your brilliance, and make it a great day. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out. You can find out more about Julie Coraccio and her services at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. We'll see you here next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.